I hope this morning's tracks are very helpful to your JCC and that we fed your mind. And I know your bodies are desirous of nourishment now, but please do not eat the centerpieces. And don't take them, because those centerpieces are actually going to be donated. The non-perishable food and trumpets will be donated to deserving organizations throughout New Orleans. So they're there for the looks, but not for the eats. First of all, I'd like to please welcome our Marin Fellows from Cohort 7. They're finishing up their training program right now, and they will come up and lead us in the motzi. So please. We have Matt Korch from the Strom Jewish Community Center in Seattle, Washington. Rachel Rustin from the Barshop JCC in San Antonio, Texas. And Jamie Skog from the Robert E. Loop Jewish Community Center in Denver, Colorado.
As JCC Youth Camp and team professionals, we hope that you will lead us in this joyful prayer here today, just as we do every day at the JCC. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
The JCC Association has just completed a 2-year task force on talent management. One of the recommendations is to focus on and invest in our emerging professionals so they will become the future leaders of our movement. The Marin Fellows are an example of this investment. Now finishing their 7th cohort, the Marin Fellows program began 13 years ago, so this is their B'nai Mitzvah year. The Marin Fellows participate in an 18-month professional development program that includes 5 experiential institutes, which include the Biennial and a 10-day Israel learning experience. The fellowship is funded through the generosity of Seth Marin and Ann Heyman, who passionately believe that our Jewish future is dependent on the quality of the professionals that work with our Jewish teens. Besides the 3 Marin Fellows that led Hamotzi, we are joined by, and I ask you to please stand, Edana Apple from Camp Livingston, Cincinnati, Ohio. Dan Baer from the Harry and Rose Sampson Family JCC, Milwaukee. Phil Fabish from the Prosserman JCC, Toronto. Laura Fendrick from the Marcus JCC of Atlanta. Elena Gumelina from the Edith and Karl Marx JCH of Bensonhurst. Ben Hara from the JCC of Greater Vancouver. Marina Imberg from the Shorefront YMHA of Brighton. Paul Lurie from the JCC of Greater Baltimore. Mallory Sachs from the Samfield YM and YWHA in Little Neck. Josh Steinharder from the JCC of San Francisco. Terry Travers from the Jewish Federation of Greater Harrisburg. And Scott Zorn from the Tucson JCC. We are also joined by 8 Marin Fellow alumni who I ask to stand, please, wherever you may be out there. You can find out more about these talented young people in our awards book, and I encourage you to do so. The Marin Center is recruiting at the Biennial for our next cohort, so this is a great opportunity to find out more about the fellowship from the participants themselves. All the Marin Fellows are listed in the awards book and have ribbons identifying them. Please take the time to chat with them during the Biennial. Enjoy your salad and entree, and we'll be back in about 27 minutes. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Or if this was a circus, boys and girls of all ages. I hope you all enjoyed your food. Now we have some awards we'd like to give out. So presenting the 2012 Weil Award is Jerome B. Makowski, Honorary Chair of the JCC Association Board of Directors.
I'm glad they didn't ask me to play some of these musical instruments. It's a real honor and privilege for me to be the one who is to present this award to my good friend Alan Solow. The JCC Association established the Frank L. Weil Award in 1950 in the name of a leader who served with great distinction as president of the Jewish Welfare Board, which is what we were then called, from 1940 until 1950. This award recognizes exceptional contributions made by a lay leader to the Jewish Community Center field. Criteria includes leadership and accomplishments both in one's local community and continentally. It seems to me that the criteria were written for our recipient, Alan Solow. I would now like to have us start the video to show us a little bit about Alan.
What's Chicago? It's the sound of the L. It's the passion and the pain of our sports fans. It's our blue-collar neighborhoods. It's our politics. It's all of our communities, and especially a committed Jewish community. Bottom line, it's home. What I've always loved about JCCs is that they served as the common ground for the community. And we're a city of neighborhoods, and we're a suburban area of neighborhoods, and we have JCCs in all of those neighborhoods. So one of the reasons that Chicago is a great place for Jews to live is because everybody has access to a JCC.
His wise counsel, along with his passion for the work of the Jewish community centers, has been an example to all of us. On behalf of the nominating committee, I'm honored to present to you the name of Alan Solow for election as the chair. And I now proudly present to you Alan Solow.
And so it began. The 4-year tenure of Alan Solow as chairman of the Board of Jewish Community Center Association.
I have undertaken this job as your chairman because of my fundamental belief that the best place to transmit the values of living Jewishly that exist today are Jewish community centers.
As he accepted his nomination, no one could have predicted the journey he was about to guide us through. No one could have predicted the historic change in the political climate. No one could have predicted the dramatic change in the national economy. But everyone predicted that we had chosen the perfect leader for the time and the circumstance.
If we live up to our responsibility to make our programs Jewishly meaningful, our members will return again and again and again, because we will be giving them a precious gift that they can enjoy nowhere else.
The amazing thing about Alan is that he is somebody who doesn't just talk about it, but really cares about Jewish community. While he's the president of JCC Association, he is as articulate and passionate about the Federation movement, about the importance of synagogues, about how JCCs fit into the picture, and about world Jewry as anybody I know.
In general, what really sticks out in my mind is Alan's passion for Jewish life, for JCCs, and how much he brings that and interprets that to people when he talks about what we do and how he brings it forward.
I watch him in action. I watch him with awe, how he relates to people and how easily people relate to him.
I think he's a real gift to this Jewish community and to the Jewish community nationally and to the Jewish people.
And ultimately, he was critical to bringing JCC from its past to what it is today. He was a bridge to the future, and he had the vision to see that.
I heard him once say that Jewish peoplehood turns him on, that it's something he's passionate about. His becoming chair of the Conference of Presidents, really the top leadership position in North American Jewry, is just an example of that.
We all know where his heart is and his neshama, that he is solely dedicated to the continuity, the vitality, the vibrancy of the Jewish people.
Barack Obama lived in my neighborhood. He was a fairly well-known politician then, and he was supportive of any number of items that were on the Jewish agenda. We sat down and discussed a wide variety of issues that were of interest to me, both as an American and as a Jew.
His BlackBerrying is legendary.
Hang on, I got to check my BlackBerry.
He's often looking down. His thumbs are going.
The poster boy for the BlackBerry.
That's the first thing in the morning and the last thing at night, and he uses it all the way through the night.
And the fact that it works all over the world and I can get back to people in real time it's fantastic.
He's really tremendous. He's a great dad, and more than that, he's my best friend.
I think that it's fantastic that he can be a great father and grandfather now, and a great family man, and also really spend so much of his time and energy serving the Jewish community.
And I lived in Israel, and I had come back to the States to get my things in order and make Aliyah, and that's when I met Alan. So I never did make Aliyah, but I think that we're serving Israel and the Jewish people in a pretty profound way.
Whether they were Reform or Conservative or Orthodox, every one of them considered the Jewish community center their home. And that's what's driven me to be active in the JCC movement for all these years. And it's one of the reasons that I've stayed engaged when I got done at the local level, because I wanted to see whether or not we could replicate that sense of Jewish community across the country and across the continent.
Rocky, would you join me up here? Yesterday, Dr. Cowan told us what it takes to be a great leader. And today we have the living personification of all the things Dr. Cowan spoke about. We have with us today one of the truly great leaders of our movement, of the Jewish world, and in the overall world of this country. Alan is the immediate past president of JCC Association and the former chairman of the Conference of Presidents of Major Jewish Organizations. A partner in DLA Piper LLP, Alan received his JD from Harvard Law and is included in the best lawyers in America. Alan has served as the director of the Jewish Federation of Metropolitan Chicago and the Jewish Federations of North America. Past president and director for life of JCC Chicago, Alan began his communal involvement at the Jewish Council for Youth Services more than 30 years ago and has long been a passionate supporter of the JCC movement. He was inducted into the JCC Chicago Hall of Fame Heritage Society in 2006 and received the Distinguished Alumni Award from the Movers and Shakers by the Jerusalem Post, which describes Alan as a charismatic Jewish leader, top Chicago lawyer, and friend of President Barack Obama. Please join me in giving a hand to Alan. The award reads 2012 Frank L. Weil Award for Distinguished Contribution to the JCC Field, presented to Alan P. Solow.
We're going to do a photo. Oh. Thank you.
All right, it's yours.
I'll put it down.
You know, I wrote this speech for this wonderful occasion today, and then I've been with you since Sunday morning and listened to all these people talking with you and at you. And so before I got up here, I thought, you know, I got the speech. Maybe I'll just give you a break and I won't read it. Nah. So thank you all very, very much. And thank you especially, Jerome, for that wonderful introduction. It's, of course, a tremendous honor for me to receive this prestigious award. I attended my first biennial as a Young Leadership Award recipient in my hometown of Chicago in 1982. So today represents my having come full circle in the JCC world. I am especially thrilled to be receiving this award at the same time that my good friend Buddy Sapolsky is being honored. I served on this board with Buddy. I have traveled to Baltimore to see the fruits of his labor. Buddy, you've made a remarkable contribution to the JCC field and to the Jewish world. I can think of no one more deserving than this highest professional accolade. Now, I didn't arrive at this place by accident. My journey in Jewish life has been guided by many mentors, both lay and professional, from whom I continue to learn. I can't recognize each of them today, but here at JCC Association, our past chairs who I've worked closely with, Mort Mandel, Lester Pollack, Ann Kaufman, Jerome Makowski, and Eddie Kaplan, have made special contributions to my education and growth. And now I am very pleased to be able to work with Paula Sidman. I've enjoyed wonderful partnerships with our professional staff, including Alan Finkelstein, Sal Greenfield, and Alan Mann. And I never would have been able to be here today or be effective in the JCC movement without the incredible support of the incomparable Yael Lebowski. I thank you all. And I learned a few things in Chicago along the way. I served under Perry Snyderman and Dr. Harlan Hames and my good friend Lori Lieberman, who sat on this board for quite a while. And I worked every day with Jerry Witkowski and Avram Cohn, and now with Marty Levine. It's hard to imagine being more blessed in this regard. I've also had incredible support from my colleagues at the JCCA board level. It's a group of great leaders who have supported our collective endeavors and always challenged all of us to do better. I could not ask for more. I always say that JCCA people are the best, and I mean it. And speaking of that, I want to express my appreciation to the chair of the Conference of Presidents, my dear friend Richard Stone, lives in New York, a native of New Orleans, who before he even knew this was going to happen in his hometown and found out I was going to be the recipient of this award, said, I'm going to be there. Richard is a great Jewish leader and a dear friend, and I thank you for being here today. I've had wonderful support at work and at home. My colleagues at DLA Piper have invested deeply in me. My assistant, Colleen Avancich, has been an integral part of this enterprise. I am so pleased she is in New Orleans to be with us today. My children, David and Brooke and Daniel, have been wonderfully supportive and encouraging, and my grandchildren, Scarlett and Samuel, inspire me. Now, all of the foregoing is absolutely guaranteed 100% true. But anyone who has been around me in the JCCA world knows the deepest truth. No JCC leader has ever had a better partner than Andrea Solow. Andrea's a great Jewish leader in her own right. She just returned a few days ago from a visit to Israel with the Chicago Partnership Together project, which she once chaired with distinction. She was the vice president of our home JCC in Hyde Park, and today she serves on the board of the World Confederation of Jewish Community Centers. People around the world think of me as Andrea's husband, a title that I accept with great pride. She's always been both my smartest and wisest advisor. And hundreds of people in this room have been the beneficiary of her welcoming attitude, whether in the hallways at a biennial, at a JCC Maccabi Experience event, or in one of her extraordinary hospitality suites. I am the one who's up here today, but I promise you, Andrea's had a strong hand in whatever good work I've done, Andrea Solow. On behalf of JCC leaders throughout the world, I thank you for all that you do. Now, when one gets an award like this, it's typical to look back at your work and highlight some of the achievements along the way. There's plenty that's been accomplished, perhaps with some help from me, since I began working on this project in 1979. But those are stories for others to tell. They're yesterday's news. They're in the past, to be learned from for certain, but not to dominate our discussion about where we go from here. And that's what I want to talk about briefly today, the Jewish future, because that's what I tried to stay focused on during my 4 years as our chair. First, let me make it clear, I do not fear for the survival of the Jewish people. We have a history of overcoming challenges far more daunting than those we face today. From the destruction of the temples to the Inquisition to the Holocaust, we've always found a way to adapt and ultimately to flourish. I don't think that's an accident, and it's not because we are the chosen people in the sense that we have some type of special protection from on high. Instead, it's because the fundamental precepts of our wisdom tradition provide us with guidance as to how to make our lives more meaningful. Beginning with the understanding that all human beings are created in the image of God, we set a high standard for what we should expect from ourselves. And the counsel given by our sages throughout the years provides us with the tools that we can use to live up to this ideal. Now, in my view, that's just what a religion should do. Cause us to aspire to greatness, inspire us to get there, and give us the tools to get the job done. Of course, our means of transmitting the message may change over time. Our story began to be carried from generation to generation before the invention of the printing press, before there was over-the-air media, before there was the internet, yes, before there was Twitter. But we have always managed to pass the word, whether secretly in ghettos or openly by living every day as Jews in our own nation state of Israel. We've always adapted to meet the times. But it's the message itself that's timeless. Love your neighbor as yourself. This is Torah. What is hateful to you, do not do unto your neighbor. All the rest is commentary. Do not forget that we were once strangers in the land of Egypt, and act accordingly. Justice, justice you shall pursue. We are all responsible, one for the other. If I am not for myself, who will be? If I am only for myself, what am I? If not now, when? These are the essence of Judaism. And in this age of globalization, international strife, economic challenge, and family stress, our tradition, as much as ever, provides a Jewish perspective on how every human being can live a more fulfilling life. Our special opportunity in the JCC movement is that we intersect with people while they go about their daily activities. At school, after school, when we exercise, when we snack, when we want to escape from the grind of everyday life, and when we are trapped square in the middle of it. If we can focus on transmitting the core values of living Jewishly at every one of these moments each day, we will change the world. One day, one person at a time. That's a happy coincidence, because that's our job, to be a light into the nations. So yes, we have to have the best camps and the best early childhood education programs. We have to outcompete the local gym and the community senior center. But we must, and we can, because we have the secret sauce. That's our tradition that provides us with the answers to the most fundamental questions that challenge every human being who is truly alive. In today's world, and I don't say this as a knock on any other institution, it is Jewish community centers that have the best chance to make Judaism come alive, because millions of Jews encounter us every single day. Being a Jew isn't something you do only on Shabbat or Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur. It's a way of living in the present that makes life better. I urge each one of us to leave here this week with a passion to make sure that every JCC encounter is one that is aimed at having our participants come to realize, not necessarily in a flash of brilliance, but over time, that living Jewishly is not something to do merely out of obligation, but is instead a choice we are eager to make. We can do it. Or, as a certain friend of mine likes to say, yes, we can. Our challenge is to live the moral values reflected in the wisdom that has developed and has been applied for generations, not to treat them as outmoded aphorisms that have no relevance and are only useful inside of the synagogue. I promise you that if our behavior mirrors our intentions, if we really commit ourselves to embody the tradition, we can create, and we will create, a thriving, dynamic, and vibrant Jewish community where the cost of Jewish life is no longer a burden but is instead a blessing. If you will it, said Herzl, it is no dream. And as Hillel said, if not now, when? Thank you very much. Thank you.
We have one other very special presentation. I have before me a piece of stationery with a very simple letterhead. It says the White House, Washington, May 7th, 2012. I send greetings to all those attending the Jewish Community Centers of North America Biennial 2012, and I congratulate Alan P. Solow as he receives the 2012 Frank L. Weil Award for distinguished contribution to the Jewish Community Center field. America is a stronger and more hopeful country because of the role Jewish Americans have played in perfecting our union. From the first days of New Amsterdam, Jewish Americans have dedicated their ingenuity, creativity, and passion for the greater good, and community centers across our country continue to foster cherished traditions and promote long-held values. Leaders like Alan are integral to preserving this rich heritage and fortifying the unique identity of Jewish Americans for generations to come. Alan, as you celebrate this outstanding achievement, I send my congratulations and wish you the best. Barack Obama.
Alan, I add my good wishes and congratulations, I know from all of us. One of the great privileges that I have is to present the Florence G. Heller Professional Award at each biennial. This award was named for a beloved past chair in 1968. So, what is this all about? What does it mean to be chosen as an exemplary Jewish Community Center pro and role model, quote, for contributions to the profession, to the JCC movement, and to the local JCC and community? Well, let's hear what Buddy Sapolsky's colleagues and leadership have to say. To the video. Buddy, will you join me? To be a JCC exec means many things. To be a visionary, to be an example, to inspire. So what sets this guy apart? Why do we honor Buddy today with our profession's highest award? He's a mentor. Buddy's staff, current and former, reflect on his teaching and inspiration. One of his nominators says he champions individual professional growth through ongoing academic pursuits. He's led the JCC of Baltimore for nearly 18 years, and before that was in Pittsburgh, Miami, and St. Louis. He's led that agency with a steady hand, great vision, with strength and confidence. A nominator says he's always looking to tomorrow for the next great idea and that next cutting-edge initiative. Life with Buddy is never dull. He's stepped out, sometimes without being asked, to put his JCC and community out there to risk trying things that have benefited our entire JCC movement. And I really don't believe he's even once been sorry, and we certainly haven't. The JCC Maccabi experience is richer from Buddy's and Baltimore's leadership, and thousands of teenagers have connected with other teens because of this. In these times of great challenge, to so many of the ways that Jewish organizations relate to each other, when JCCs and federations aren't always on the same page, the relationship between the Baltimore JCC and the Associated emerges as a beacon for all of us. How many federation execs would take time out of their schedule to come and honor their JCC exec? And Mark Terrell, I want to thank you for being with us. Buddy's nomination says he's a cohesive factor between all relevant factions, creating opportunities for groups to work together to fill common community needs. And he also exemplifies what it means to be a JCC guy, from youth through his entire career. As you heard, he loves the JCC. It doesn't get better than that. Most of all, he's a mensch, he's everyone's buddy, and a great friend. This video says it all. To hear his lay people, his staff, and his colleagues, too numerous to include in a brief video, all speak of his inspiration and how much he means to them. And that says it better than I'll ever be able to say it. So it's my great honor to present this 2012 Florence G. Heller Award to Buddy. The 2012 Florence G. Heller Professional Award presented to Louis Buddy Sapolsky.
I should probably leave it at that and walk off. Alan, thank you so much. You're a friend, and that really means a lot. And Alan Solow, back at you, friend. It's an honor and a privilege for me to be sharing this day with you. I do have one bone to pick with Alan. I asked him to be able to superimpose maybe 5 seconds of the president in my video, and I was told I couldn't do that. So, several months ago, when Lisa Brill and Gary Lippman called me and told me that I was going to get this award, the first thing I asked is, are you sure you called the right phone number? And when they assured me they did, I said thank you very much and went home to think about it. And I talked a few days later to Gary, and I said, so what does this involve? He said, well, 3 things. 1, you got to wear a suit. Okay, well, that's fine, I can do that. 2, you really want to try to get your family here. And it's tough to get your families here. But I was able to do that, and thanks to Lauren, Craig, Jamie, Bryant, Stephanie, Nancy, and my grandchildren, Jack and Brandon, for being here with me today. I love it. And the third thing he said is you got to give like a 5-minute speech when you're done. Make sure it's impactful. Make sure it's inspirational. Make sure you don't go over 5 minutes. And I began to find out who else was speaking. Avraham Infeld, my mentor and teacher, and on and on. Danielle Hartman. But I can handle that. And he said you'll be speaking to about 1,000 people. Now, one thing you have to know about JCC professionals. There's two places they learn not quite to tell the truth. One is when kids haven't even begun to load the bus, and we're standing in a lobby with parents, you say, it'll be here any second. And the second is we learn how to round up when it comes to numbers. So I began to think about what could I share with this group that would be impactful, that would be inspirational. And I began to think back over maybe the 18 or 19 biennials that I've been to over the years. And I can honestly say I don't remember a whole lot in terms of people who got this award. My fault, probably not theirs, except for one. A number of years ago, a colleague of ours got up and went much too long, much too long. And by the end of the speech, or maybe it wasn't the end of the speech, because one of the kitchen help may have pulled the plug, and it was like me and him were the only ones in the room left. So if I go too long, I get Eric out there, you just got to give me the timeout, okay? So I'm going to be brief from here on in. Almost 50 years ago, my involvement as a JCC professional began. My cousin, Bill Kahn, who ironically won this award in 1982, said to me one summer, what are you doing? And I said, I'm not sure I wasn't sure what I was going to do. He said, why don't you come to work at our camp in the Ozark Mountains? And I agreed. The camp couldn't have been more rugged. There was no lights in the cabin. The bathrooms were disgusting. The lake was almost like a cesspool. The food was horrible. And I had the best summer of my life. I was there for 9 weeks, and that for me was absolutely transformational. Why? I was part of a community for the first time in my life. I was part of a Jewish community for the first time in my life. And I found that being Jewish and celebrating being a Jew could be fun for the first time in my life. And I found out that I had the ability and I had the responsibility to impact the lives of kids. That was amazing for me. And I found that I was okay at doing that. So I came back to school, I changed my major from economics to psychology, and the rest is history. So now here we are today. I think over the years I've helped impact the lives of people. I've helped to create community. I've helped to create leadership. And I've helped to maybe somehow influence the national agenda. But I've gotten far more out of it than that. And I say the word help very, very purposely. Because in probably no other area that I know of, working at a JCC is the ultimate team sport. No one should take the credit unless you're prepared to take the blame. And I learned early on in life, you got to be smart enough to know you're not smart enough. I've had the privilege of working in 4 great communities, and for the past 17 years have worked in Baltimore, Maryland, which is, for professionals, a dream come true. There are 4 legs, as I see it, to a great JCC. One is having a relationship with JCCA. Alan, Paula, we have taken advantage of everything you guys have had to offer and more. I hope everyone in this room understands what a valuable resource JCCA is. From JCC Maccabi to benchmarking to consultation. You're the best. 2 is a federation that works with you and for you. Unfortunately, in our field, not many of us have that. I work with the best federation director in the country in Mark Terrell, and we are partners all the way. The third is a great, committed, wonderful lay group. I look out and I just smile when I see out there Neil Jemchik, our current chairman of the board, and Eric Nislow and Michael Saxon, past chairman of the board, Maury Garten, and Het Saxon, Carol Knoll, Randy Bergenthal, Marty Cohen, and all those that aren't here today. It's a dream working with you guys. You are great partners. And today, more than ever, that partnership means so much. And last is my staff, not my staff, our staff. Phil Miller, Ken Karsh, Paul Lurie are here today. They are my colleagues. They are the fourth leg. So, we've heard the word challenge 100 times over this conference, maybe more. And we know we're at a crossroads. And we know that JCCs have a very, very difficult road going forward because things have changed. Major changes, okay, since I've been in Baltimore. And things are more difficult. And one could leave this conference today very pessimistic. But like my friend Alan Solow said, I don't think we should. Because at the end of the day, no matter how many reports we have, no matter how many speakers we hear, or how many challenges we have, it comes down to us. Us in this room, and us who aren't in this room. And I am so confident going forward that we have the talent in this room and beyond to basically deal with any challenge that comes our way. We have in the past, and we will continue to. We've got to invest in that human capital, though, going forward. There is a talent issue. We've got to do everything we can to make sure that we attract and retain and stimulate and turn on the best and the brightest of staff. They will lead us into the future. And we've got to also do the same thing with lay leadership. It's a partnership. It's a synergy. And those of us understand that. Those that don't are not going to succeed. So on behalf of those who preceded me, on behalf of those in the room here today, and on behalf of those who are going to follow me, it is my honor and pleasure to accept this award. Thank you very much.
Mazel tov, buddy, on this very special recognition. Your impact on the field will be long remembered. And as the Hotel California song goes, you can check out, but you can never leave. Although you're retiring, I'll bet we will ask you back to help consult or even serve as an interim executive. To lead us in the Birkat Hamazon, the blessing after we eat, are the men and women of whom we are very proud, our JCC Association graduate scholars. These scholars are working on graduate degrees in a wide variety of fields, from Judaic studies to business administration to social work. The JCC Association's Professional Development Scholarship Program has funded up to $20,000 of their tuition in graduate school. This program has been in place for over 40 years, and there are many alumni of the scholarship program who have strong JCC careers after graduation. We also have 20 scholar alumni here with us today. All the scholars have green ribbons on their badges. Will these scholars please stand and be recognized? As part of the program, these scholars have agreed to work in the JCC field for at least 2 years after graduation. Some of our scholars are already working at JCCs, and others are looking for positions. Their bios are in the award book. Please introduce yourselves and get to know them better. They are the future leaders of our JCCs, And now let me introduce them to you. Anna Bronfman from the Shorefront Y, Brooklyn, New York. Jason Goldstein from the Addison Pensick Jewish Community Center in Los Gatos. Missy Jacobson, who attends Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. Sarah Lewis, the Kaplan JCC on the Palisades. Amy Schaaf, the Marcus Jewish Community Center of Atlanta. And Ilana Simon, who attends University of Southern California. If you would please come on up and lead us in the beer cot.
Rabotai Nevarach. Yehi Shemananai Mevarach Me'etavi Ad Olam. Bir Shoot Miranan V'Rabanan V'Rabotai. Nevarach Eloheinu Shalchanu Mishalo. Baruch Eloheinu Shalchanu Mishalov Tuvo Chayinu. Baruch Avrach Shemo. Baruch Atah Adonai. Eloheinu melech haolam, hazan et haolam kulo betuvo bechein bechesed uvrachamim. Hu noten lechem lechol basar ki leolam chaso. Utuvo hagadol, tamid lo chasar lanu. Asher bara Baruch atah Adonai Hazan et hakol. Baruch atah Adonai Hazan et hakol.
For 5 decades, the Preservation Hall Jazz Band has served as a keeper and ambassador of the New Orleans jazz tradition. Named after the French Quarter music venue Preservation Hall, the group has performed alongside artists ranging from Louis Armstrong to Robert Plant. Originally from Pennsylvania, Alan and Sandra Jaffe visited New Orleans in March of 1961 on their way home from an extended honeymoon in Mexico. During their stay, they happened upon an informal jazz session being held at a small art gallery on 726 St. Peter Street in the French Quarter. Mesmerized by the music and culture, the newlyweds moved to New Orleans permanently and eventually opened the gallery's doors as Preservation Hall, an intimate music venue presenting live New Orleans jazz concerts. 50 years later, their son Ben oversees the direction and operations of today's Preservation Hall as they continue their mission to preserve, perpetuate, and nurture one of America's truest art forms. Please join me in welcoming Benjamin Jaffe to the podium.
Well, it's an honor to be here today. I'm not a speaker, I'm a tuba player. It's wonderful to have you all here joining us in New Orleans. We've experiencing a wonderful time in our history where we can really say that our community and our traditions and our musical traditions are stronger than they've ever been. And I'm just so proud to be part of an organization that supports our community and our music. And thank you for supporting us. And I'd really like to keep this short so we could play, well, like they say in New Orleans, less chatter and more platter. Ladies and gentlemen, the Preservation Hall Jazz Band.
Freddie Lon's on trombone. Let's fly down or drive down to New Orleans. That city, so pretty, historic scene. I'll take you and parade you down Bourbon Street. Yes, you see all the hot spots, hang out with the big shots down on Bourbon Street. Let's fly down, baby, we'll drive down to New Orleans. Yes, that city, it sure is pretty, full of historic scenes. Now I'll take you and parade you down Bourbon Street. Yes, you see all the hot spots, hang out with the big shots, all down on Bourbon Street. along with me. Down the Mississippi, we'll take a boat to the land of dreams, sailing down the river down to New Orleans. Now the band is there to meet us, and all of our old friends will greet us. Where all the good friends love to meet, heaven on earth, they call it Basin Street. Now Basin Street, that's the street where all the elite, the elites, they all meet in New Orleans, in the land of dreams. Oh, you'll never know how nice it seems, just quite what it really means. So glad to be, yes sirree, where welcome's free and so dear to me, where I can lose these old Basin Street blues. Come on, friend, let's play. We've got Mardi Gras and oysters raw, Creole gumbo, cowan, and catfish coubillon, way down in New Orleans, in the land of dreams. Oh, you'll never know how nice it seems until you tried some of our good old red beans. So glad to be, yes sirree, laid back in the Big Easy, where I can lose these old Basin Street blues. marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Don't you want to be in that number? When the saints go marching in. Now when the sun refused to shine. Oh, when the sun refused to shine. Don't you want to be in that number? Yes, when the saints go marching in. I said when the saints go marching in, that's when your life will begin. When the saints, they go marching in. Don't you want to be in that number? Yes, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Don't you want to be in that number? Yes, when the saints go marching.
Wow. Wow, what a performance. Before you run off, we have a few announcements. First of all, all the plenaries are being videotaped, and you can download them at jcca.org. There are 13 sessions coming up in your program book. At 4:15, we have following those track learning sessions, we're screening the award-winning film, Life in Stills. The filmmakers will be there to help, and we'll discuss that. Tonight, in case you forgot, we have more great music at Tipitina's in the French Quarter from 7 to 10. You can catch the shuttle bus at the second side door of the lobby beginning at 6:30 p.m. It will loop continuously until 10:30. For those of you who would like to walk over and stumble back, Tipitina's is only a short 10-minute walk away. Remember to wear that blue bracelet that you received in your registration envelope. It's your entrance ticket to get into the program. Also, at 9:15 tomorrow morning, the World Confederation of Jewish Community Centers will meet in the Norwich Room. The Preservation Hall Jazz Band CDs are on sale in the back of the ballroom. And in the interest of time, please go directly to your afternoon sessions. We will see you back at 4:15.